We'll see. Really quickly reviewing what we did last day, we gave you two key equations. We were talking about simple interest, and we said you can calculate simple interest via the equation I equals PRT, where I was the interest, P was the principal. We were giving you some new vocabulary. R was the interest rate, and T was the time. And then we said you can get the final amount. The final amount is what you started with, the principal plus the interest. So we said as a brand new equation, if I wanted to get the final amount, it's the principal plus the interest. And then I got really, really clever. I said, hey, I have an equation for interest. We already said that I is the same as PRT. See how we substituted it in? And then we got even more clever. We said, oh, there's a letter P in both of those expressions. That's called a greatest common factor, a GCF. I can factor that out. You know what? The final amount is equal to the principal times, in brackets, 1 plus RT. I will give you this equation here, and I will give you this equation here on any quiz or any test. You don't have to memorize it. You have to know how to use it. And so we said what this allows us to do is work our way backwards. Ingrid had invested her summer earnings of $5,000 at 8% simple interest. She wants to earn $8,000, and so part A said, how long? And we said this was a difficult enough question that we're going to list our data. I wrote down what the 5,000 was. We said that was the principal. I wrote down what the rate was, changing it to a decimal in my head because I could. It was 8%, which is 0.08. I quickly double-checked. Was it 8% per year? Check. Okay, so my time units are going to match. And then the final amount was 8,000. And I wrote down, Rachel, that T equals, I don't know, question mark. So I looked for an equation that had all those things in it, and I came up with this one. And then I started plugging in the numbers. This is where we left off. I put the 8,000 right there, the principal right there. I dropped the 1 down. I dropped the plus down. The rate was 0.08 times T. And now we're going to do some equation solving. So here we go. How do I solve this? I know you did some equation solving review last year back in your foundations class. I want to get the T by itself. How? Isolate it. Yes? How? Sorry?
Don't you take it out?
Take what out? The T?
The T out.
Well, I think first thing I would do is I would get rid of the brackets. I think the first thing, because the brackets I think are what are kind of scaring you right now. I think what I would do is I would go like this. Distribute. If you had Mr. Rocca front door bomber, which I've never quite understood, but whatever. Anyways, I'm going to rewrite this as 8,000 equals, I'm going to pretend I can go 5,000 times 1 in my head. Seb, what's 5,000 times 1 in your head, for the love of God, please? Thank you for not letting me down. Plus, and then it's going to be 5,000 times 0.08, which I think is 40. Double check me. Or 400. 400. I was off by a 0. Terrible. T. Now what? You're right, I want to isolate the T. Now what? Divide or subtract. What you want to, if you're looking for a dumb way to remember, when you're solving an equation, because you're working your way backwards to find out where you started from, you do BEDMAS in reverse. You do the subtraction and addition first, and then you do the multiplication and division. I had a teacher, a colleague, who used to say it this way. He gave us an acronym, and it was, felt sad. He said, first of all, you clear fractions, then you expand brackets, then you gather like terms, then you do your subtraction, addition, then you divide. If that works for you, great. But we'll practice this as we go. I'm going to minus 5,000 from both sides. Foster, I'm going to pretend in my head. You can go 8,000, take away 5,000, please.
2,000? 3,000?
You said 3,000 the first time. We just misunderstood you, yes? Absolutely, absolutely. I do that all the time, too. So 3,000 equals, here the 5,000, take away 5,000 cancels, and the 400T drops down like a domino. What's the 400 doing to the t mathematically? Multiplying, so how will I move it over? Divide. So final step is going to be divide by 400, divide by 400. T is going to be whatever 3,000 divided by 400 is, which is going to be the same as 30 over 4, 15 over 2, 7.5? Double check me. Yeah? 7.5 what? Years. Okay. 7.5 years. Basically, what we're saying here, Justin, is in this fancy schmancy equation right here, which has 1, 2, 3, 4 variables, as far as I'm concerned, I can give you any 3 and say solve for the 4th, please. And in this equation up here, which has 1, 2, 3, 4 variables, again, as far as I'm concerned, I can give you any 3 and say, please find the 4th. Question? You good? I'll scroll back down. So 7.5 years. Try one more. Grant invested $25,000 in the Simple Interest Canada Savings Bond, CSB, that paid interest annually. Okay. Because we're going to be learning more than one type of interest, I'm going to get in the habit of saying this one is simple interest and it's annually. We're also going to be looking at different maturing rates, different maturing periods. We may look at some that are semi-annually or monthly. Yeah? Oh, did I not do B on example 2? Thank you. Roy, thank you. I'm so eager moving on. Good gosh, Dueck. What is Ingrid's rate of return? And that's why I left the extra room on part B. I was kind of going, boy, I left a lot of room there to write, but that makes more sense to me. What the heck was rate of return? Well, if we go look at my little vocabulary, it says this. The rate of return was the ratio of money earned or lost on an investment relative to the amount of money invested, usually expressed as a decimal or a percent. You know what it really is? It's the final amount divided by the initial amount and then times 100 to change it into a percent. It's final divided by initial. It's final divided by initial. Okay. So let's look at B here. The rate of return, how about capital R, lowercase o, capital R, rate of return? That's going to be the interest earned at the end, the final amount, divided by the initial. Fancy word for that is the principal. Times 100. What was the principal? How much was invested? What did we start out with? 5,000. Now, you want to be careful because a lot of people want to say the final amount was $8,000. Not quite. 8,000 take away the 5,000 was what she started with. We want the interest to go here, except, hang on, we got a problem. We got a problem with answer A. What did we get for our answer for part A? For part A, what did we get for a time? 7.5 years, but we have a problem here, and the problem here is that our interest is getting paid annually. It's getting paid annually, which means we can't leave it in there for 7.5 years. Under this particular investment, you can either withdraw it in year 7 or year 8. Would year 7, if you pulled it out after 7 years, would you have enough money? No. So how long will you have to really leave this investment in for? Okay, so what we're going to do up here is we're going to put equals 8 years, and that's because it's annually. Is that okay, Brandon? Sneaky, but makes sense? Now here's what that means then. If we leave it in for 8 years, we're going to earn a little more interest than in our example. Draw a little line right here. If I want to find out how much interest I get for 8 years, I do have an interest equation. I equals PRT. The interest is going to be 5,000 times 0.08 times 8 years. How much interest will that be? $3,200? So even though Ingrid only needed $8,000, because she can't pull it out, she can't withdraw it halfway through the year, she's got to leave it in for the full 8 years, she'll actually end up with $8,200, a little extra. And that's going to be the interest earned. That's going to be the number that's going to go right here. Her rate of return is going to be 3,200 divided by 5,000 and then times 100 to make it a percent. What is her rate of return? She increased her money by 64%. Okay. I'm not convinced I did the best job of explaining that, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask, because I don't think I did a great job there. Partly because, thank you, Roy, for reminding me that I'd skip this part. Too eager to move on to the next part. Okay, now turn the page. Let's see if I can not butcher this one. Question? You got? Yeah? Okay. She's probably better explaining it than me anyways. Let's try one more. So example 3. Grant invested $25,000, simple interest, annually. Now let's read the question carefully, and let's not forget, Mr. Dueck, there's a part B. Thank you, Roy. If the future value is $29,375 at the end of 5 years, what's the interest rate? Okay. Well, let's list what they gave me. By the way, what's this question asking me to find? You know what? I'm going to write down little r equals question. That's what they're asking me to find. And it's no longer blank. I've written something down. Now I'm going to walk through this question looking for numbers or math words and listing what they are. What's that 25,000 that I see? What's that? Oh, P equals 25,000. I keep reading, oh, I run into 29,375. What's that? Which we used a capital A for. Final amount was 29,375. I see a 5. What's that? So again, I think I'm going to use A equals P bracket 1 plus little r times T. How did you know to use that one, Mr. Dueck? Because they gave me final amount, so I used the one that had the A in it, the final amount in it. If they had given me the interest, I would have used I equals PRT. Let's plug and chug. Here we go. 29,375 equals 25,000. 1 plus do I know R? Now, look up for a second. Don't write this down. You could write R times 5, but we don't write R5. How do we normally write that? 5R. Can I do that, please? It looks better. We're used to seeing the coefficient and then the variable. Now what? Now what? Get rid of brackets? Can do. So I'm going to get $29,375 equals, Ellen, in your head, 25,000 times 1? We're starting off the year, keeping it real. Plus 25,000 times 5 times R. 25 times 5 is 125, so I'm going to say $125,000. Someone double check me. Like that. Now what? What's the 125,000 doing to the R mathematically? Adding, subtract? Okay, so I'm going to be dividing, but I'm going to do that last. I got to deal with that 25,000 first. Minus the 25,000, yes. And I'll get, holy smokes, I think I can do this in my head, because 29,375 make away, I think it's going to be 4,375? Woohoo! Equals 125,000 R. Brooke, now what? Divide by what? I agree, we divide. Divide by 120, because the common mistake, especially in grade 8, kids want to, for some reason, divide by 4,375 because they want to get everything over to the same size as the R. No, we're trying to get the R by itself. So anything on the side of the R, move it over. So yeah, it's going to be divide by 125,000. Divide by 125,000. And you know, there's a kind of an error check here. We're finding an interest rate, which I'm expecting to be a decimal that I'm going to change into a percent. And this looks like it's going to give me a decimal because I have a smaller number divided by a bigger number. So I'm pretty sure I'm on the right track here. What is 4375 divided by 125,000? 0.035? Which as a percentage would be 3.5%. So like I said, in any of these two big equations with 4 variables apiece, I can give you any 3. Find the 4th. Roy, is there part B? Well, thank you. Grant cashed in the bond after 4.5 years to buy a house. Now, usually, by the way, if you cash in something early, they do make you pay a penalty because they want to hang on to your money for the length. The reason they're paying you money for the bond is they have now loaned that money out to someone else at a higher rate, and if you're wanting your money back, they could get caught in a situation where now they don't have the money to loan to another person. Now, they make sure that they always have enough on hand, but they're going to penalize you to just discourage you from withdrawing your money. We're not going to get that complicated in this question, but just wanted to point that out. So he cashed in the bond after 4.5 years to buy a house. Okay. Oh, and it wants us to, how much money did he have for the down payment? What are they asking me to find in part B? I think they're asking me to find the final amount. Because I think the principal is still $25,000. Now I know the interest rate. I figured it out from Part A is 3.5%, which is why I had to do Part A first. And the time is going to be 4.5. And I think it's just going to be final amount. I think. This is what they're asking me to find. Where the final amount equals the principal, 1 plus little rt. Where the final amount equals, the principal was $25,000, 1 plus, and this is why I had to do, Caitlin, the Part A first. I did the interest rate, otherwise I'm stuck here, but I got the interest rate now. It's 3.5%, or as a decimal, 0.035, and 4.5 years. Oh. I've just realized when I do screen recordings. Sorry? When you have to go by 4? Well, there's a bit of a contradiction here with this question and the one before, and that's why I kind of said they probably in real life make you pay a penalty, but maybe they're allowing him to withdraw it early. I don't know. I know it's not consistent with the previous question. I picked these both from the textbook and I went, they're not really all that consistent, but we'll just follow their instructions for now. It's going to be 25,000 bracket 1 plus 0.035 times 4.5 close bracket. You want to make sure you can type that into, you get $28,937.50? You know what? Jordan. You are correct, actually. I'm an idiot. I'm looking at my notes, and you are right. They want us to be consistent. Sorry, I just looked at my next line here, and I got that written down, and I should have looked ahead. They want us, instead of going 4.5 years, they want us to go 4 years because they're only giving this annually. So let me redo that with a 4. How about 4.0? And you get $28,500. Jordan, candy for you. Roy, candy for you for salvaging my brutal lesson first thing on a Monday morning. I never make mistakes. Oh, you caught that. Okay. Okay. So, what's your homework? I wrote down read pages 6 to 13. That's a rehash of the same lesson that I just did. You can reread it if you want to. It's got lots of pretty pictures in color. Or if you think you got the hang of this, you can jump right in. Let's see, I said try number 1, A and C. Yeah, I'm good with that. Number 2. Okay. Number 2 has Cam withdrawing his money after 3.25 years, and it's annually. So let's guess that they want you, when it's 3.25 years, to only give them the interest for 3 years. Check your answer in the back of the book. If not, use the time of 3.25. They're not clear, but I think that'll work. Number 5. Sure. Number 7. (7B), actually number 7, I'm going to put a circle around that. Actually, I'm going to nuke number 7 for now. Let me come back to that. Number 11, sure, that works. Number 12 works, but I'm going to cross off 7. You got 20 minutes. I think you can probably finish it in class. Now, how do you let me first of all pause the video here. Click.